just so the personal experience is I whip out my phone, I fire up the app, and I actually talk to this app, and the technology listens and does sentiment analysis and translates my speech to text and runs all kinds of tests on that. Is that kind of mechanistically how it works?
Yeah, you're framing a good visual picture. And I think the best way for people to just know is try the free trial on the App Store
Right.
or the Play Store. Just write Orai, try it. It'll take 5 minutes and you'll understand what we are talking about.
Great. Could you describe your journey? I want to come back to AI in a second, to the technology, because I want to understand in a little bit more depth how this buzzword in learning technology actually comes to life in your app. So we'll go there in a second, but I'm interested in also hearing about your journey running a learning technology startup, from sort of how you conceive the idea to where you are today. What's the journey been for the Orai team, and what were the critical points in your journey so far?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, it started off with Toastmasters and a manager at work who suggested I join it. And since then, we have spent a lot of time looking at everything else out there. So Toastmasters is just one of the ways to get this job done. Another one is Lynda courses or Udemy courses or buying books or hiring a speech coach. So what we have done is spend a lot of time understanding how is coaching done today and how can we either reinforce it or make it better. And our team has gone through that journey as well. It started off with my co-founder and I, Paritosh Gupta, and we have now a third co-founder, Asim Sani. All of us were international students from outside the US, and we've all gone on a personal journey as well, trying to get better at communication. And since we were first-time founders, running a startup is actually really, really difficult, both mentally and physically. And so we have evolved in trying to manage and balance this life as well of running a startup. And we're always growing. There's always room for improvement.
How long have you been a company? How long has this journey taken?
We started in 2016. So I would say 3 years.
And you recently went into an incubation situation. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we were very, very excited that we got accepted to this accelerator program called Techstars, which is a global accelerator program. They help jumpstart startups that might have an idea, some early traction, and they help you scale. They help you get and start running. So we went through that last summer. This was also part of the Comcast incubator. So it was a joint partnership. So we got the best of both worlds, Techstars support as well as Comcast support. And right after that, we raised a seed round during demo day. And now we are growing the team.
Well, last question on this area is where are you in terms of your goals? Are people using the app? Do you have any enterprise customers, critical partnerships? Where are you today?
It's really exciting when I go to conferences and I wear my Orai t-shirt and people come to me and say, oh, I've used that. Or my daughter loves using it. Whenever she gets a yellow, she wants me to make her practice again until she gets the green. So we have this consumer-facing brand that has touched over 200,000 people across the globe. We have given feedback using AI on over 1.5 million recordings, speeches, presentations. So those are some really great tangible milestones. And we're always striving for growing even further. And along our journey, we have got a few real good quality enterprise clients who not only support us, but also challenge us and help us guide what the future of Orai looks like to help anyone inside organizations become more confident.
Great. I know that mutual friends at Mandel Communications also use the technology in some of their clients. How can speech coaches it's an interesting concept is, if I'm a speech coach, should I be threatened by this technology or can I embrace it?
Not at all. I feel, and I've talked to, again, customers, right? Customers have told us, or I will not cater to the human touch that real speech coaches bring. And so, if a client requires that one on one bespoke coaching, or your managers require some more hands on intensive class, Orai will not replace that. And that's fine. But where Orai comes in is to actually reinforce that. And we have heard this idea numerous times from speech coaches, from their learners. What happens after the training? Is there any reinforcement? Is there an app? Is there anything I can take away to make sure that I'm refreshed consistently on the tips and techniques I learned? And that's where Orai comes in. And Mandel has been an awesome partner. I would give them credit to actually guiding us into the world of enterprise, into the world of speech coaching, and seeing how where else we can have an impact.
It's great to see partnerships working out for sure. Can we dig into the use of AI in the tool? So can you talk a little bit about how you use that technology to give feedback, so the kind of inner workings of that? And then can you talk a little bit about bias? We hear human bias getting codified or encoded into the algorithms in a number of different scenarios, maybe resume reviewing. There's been a number of incidents and stories about how algorithms have sort of amplified human bias. Can you talk about how the algorithms work in your tool, and how do you guard against those kind of biases?
The bias thing is super critical. As more and more people get aware of the ethics and AI, I think buyers have become real smarter around evaluating tools that have AI in them and making sure that there is no bias, because that would look really bad on that organization. Mm-hmm. Because all we're doing is people development. And if you're developing your people towards a biased demographic, that is bad, ethically, morally, and just in a business term. You're making everyone robots, and that's not what you want to do. So going back to how Orai's algorithms work, the way we like to say is we're talking about some of the foundational elements of speaking. So when you look at filler words, for example, you mentioned saying ums or uhs can make someone sound a little bit less credible. But I also mentioned that avoiding them zero is not the goal. The goal is to make sure that they are not a hindrance. And what defines as a hindrance is something that we got from data, meaning we evaluated thousands and thousands of good talks, bad talks from various demographics across the globe and figured out what is too many filler words for a particular length of speech. And all Orai helps you is be a guiding post. It doesn't tell you critically, okay, you're bad. All it's saying is you used too many filler words. And because of that, it can have a high impact on how your audience perceives you. So we are not making people robots. All we're doing is being guideposts on where the line should be in terms of what's too much or too little.
Got it. So in this case, it's a fairly mechanical process of listening for words that you've codified as filler words, and I'm sure there's a body of science around that. What else do the algorithms listen for? What other kinds of feedback do you get?
So even in filler words, sometimes you can have repetitions that might not be codified in the algorithms, but using machine learning, they might pick up based on your patterns. Mm-hmm. So for example, you are a salesperson, and after practicing 10 times on Orai, Orai has figured out that you love using the word super a lot. In fact, you're using it every fourth sentence, and that can now sound more repetitive.
It's a super popular thing.
Super popular.
It's a super popular thing.
And maybe that's the thing, you're repeating all three words, super popular thing, happening every fifth sentence. And so Orai might learn from that and then point out that you need to diversify your use of adjectives or the way you're describing things. So that's, again, a deeper level to filler words. Then let's move on to pacing. This is how fast or slow you speak. Again, there's a lot of research around computational linguistics, which tells you how do humans perceive speech and how many words can someone actually process in a given set of time. So again, that's based on research. Or I will then contextualize it and go one level deeper. So let's say you're a salesperson versus you're an executive speaking as a keynote to 5,000 people. Yes, your pace has to be different on a one-on-one conversation to one-to-many conversation. Or I will take that one level deeper and be able to give feedback contextually. Then let's take your smile. As you know, 70% of how you're perceived by your audience is on the how of what you're saying and not just the what. And a part of that is your visual cues. So your facial expressions. Are you smiling? And this is again based on data. What is an appropriate level of smile? We love to say, have a 20% smile. Not more, not less. Because from data, from research, anything more can lead to you looking inauthentic or sarcastic. And that's what Orai will help you avoid, again, as a guide.
This is amazing. I didn't know I had a degree of smile. It makes total sense once you point it out. And the fact that I can optimize for a 20% smile is fascinating to me.
And I'll pause you there. Because I mentioned the 20% smile, I can actually start hearing you smiled. And this is something that translates. It translates across media. Doesn't matter if you're using a video calling software or you're talking face to face. Even when you're on the phone with no video, people are trained to listen for a smile. So it's super critical.
Interesting. This leads me to my next question. In the Learning Futures group, we're really encouraging people in the learning and development discipline to learn from the disciplines around us, whether it's social science or computer science or neuroscience. And you've talked a number of times about how your product is informed by science. What disciplines do you look at, and how do you make sure that the advice and the algorithms are grounded in good science?
Yes, interdisciplinary research, I'm a big fan of that because I believe interdisciplinary stuff leads to creativity and to problem solving. So a big thing I would tell people, go outside of your comfort zone, go outside of your boxes, go to conferences, interact with people who are not in your field, because that's when you spark creativity and ideas to solving hard challenges. And I love doing that and always advise people to do that. At Orai, we are bringing, on one hand, computational linguistics, data science, signal processing, and merging it with learning science, with speech coaching, with human communication. And we're bringing all of this together in one form factor to help someone really, really improve on their communication skills.
Now,
so it's really exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of models and techniques for storytelling and public speaking. Do you have your own proprietary methodology that the tool teaches, or can you embrace multiple points of view? How does that work?
This is something we have come across a lot because we also work with a lot of speech coaching partners. Everyone has their own methodologies or their own blueprints on how to effectively deliver a story, how to effectively deliver a high stakes conversation. And at Orai, we're agnostic to that, meaning coaching companies or enterprises can bring in their own methodologies and train their people on them through Orai. And at Orai, we don't have like our own proprietary methodology. We are just basing everything off the foundational stuff around fighting your filler words, around the power of the pause, around how to leave a good first impression using your smile and conveying warmth. So we don't have something very, very, let's say, to the book.
In my work at Microsoft, we spent a lot of time making sure that our salespeople around the world could deliver the critical components of our product truths. whether it's